In this video, I'm gonna show you how to turn all of these seashells into a shell mirror frame like this one.
To start, we need a frame base and a lot of shells.
Hi, I'm Shellman Buster and I'm a shell artist. I've spent the last 5 years exploring shell art and created well over 100 pieces while doing so. But today, we're here in my Amsterdam studio to create something together. I'll be taking you through the process of taking all of these seashells and making them into a shell art mirror frame like this one. And if you love seashells, and I mean, who doesn't, and would like to try to make one of these for yourself, I have a limited number of kits available for you. Link in the description.
First, bring out the frame base and something to support it against. Then, a few nice-to-haves: brush, water, spoon, tweezers, and a pokey thingy. Let's start with the outer edges. Lean the frame against your support, apply a good amount of glue, spread it out, and start placing your shells. When working the edges, it's important not to let the shells stick out over the back edge. Sanding between the shells is optional, but I like to completely hide my frame base and think it's definitely worth doing. And then one last check, so nothing sticks out on the back. We continue to the inner edge facing the same orientation. A good amount of glue, spread it out, place the shells along the edge, and finish off with a little bit of sand. You see this little edge here? The mirror needs to rest on it later, so make sure no shells stick out over it. Give the glue some time to set, and then repeat for the other sides. Time to go horizontal, with the front side facing up. One of these spinning plates make things a lot easier, but if you don't have one, that's fine too. To start sketching, I lay out the bigger shells first, marking out the corners and the upper and lower center. You can elevate shells by putting other shells underneath, but up, no glue yet, we're just playing around with the layout here. I continue with oysters and other medium and small sized shells along the left and right hand side. When I lay out the shells, I think in terms of mix, balance and flow. Now, that doesn't mean I go for exact similarity between the left and the right, but rather focusing on the balance between the sides. As you continue to sketch out the layout, take note on how some shells have a spectacular inside too. If you let some of them show their opening, the frame will become more diverse. Like a painter, I sometimes take a step back to get a better feel for the balance in the frame, or even use my cell phone to take a picture and then look at that picture for reference. Okay. We're almost done sketching. When I started making shell art back in 2018, the scariest part was gluing that first shell to the frame. I think I experienced the same feeling that many writers do before putting down the first word on an empty piece of paper. It's scary, but don't worry, I'm here to help. Once you have made your initial sketch, take a step back to get an overview and adjust as needed. Be generous with the glue on the bigger shells. At this stage, we don't worry about the visible glue, because later in the process, we're covering all of these spots with shells. Work your way around the frame and make sure you get all the shells glued down. When that's done, let it dry overnight before continuing to the next step. The next morning, I start by checking on the shells. It seems all of them are stuck there pretty good. Nice. While taking a second look at the shells I glued yesterday, I found one or two I wasn't really happy with. As you can see, the glue sits really hard, but with a little bit of help I managed to pry it off. Adjust as needed and glue it back down. Let's continue with the medium and small sized shells. Go around the frame and find natural spots for your shells. Don't be afraid to put things on top of each other or halfway hidden behind other shells. Play around with the shells a bit to get a better sense of where the specific shells could fit. And don't be afraid to move things around until you found the perfect spot. You can make clusters of the same kind of shell to give them a bigger impact. Here you'll see me working on a detail with the bubble shells. To give the frame some shine, I suggest you use the abalone shells with their shiny mother of pearl inside. Here you'll see me distribute them around the frame. Continue to fill in all the naturally created holes and cavities in between your shells. Playing around with some cones and white strombus shells to fill the top, or headpiece like we like to call it. You see me using a jar to put the glue on and then dip the shells in. I highly recommend this approach to get glue on all 4 sides of the shell before you put it down. And just like before, be generous with the glue. Don't be afraid to put shells in layers on top of each other. This helps to create depth in the frame. Before I continue to the next step, I'll make sure to fill up on the shell glue. There's a refill bottle included in the kit, but you can also get it separately at shellman.se. Next step, the tiny shells. I call them fillers, and this is where your patient gets put to a test. I sketch out where I want to use the different kind of fillers, and then going over it with the glue and another layer of shells. The tiny shells have one major purpose: to fill the gaps so we won't see the base of the frame anywhere, from any angle. I find it easiest to start off on one side and then slowly work my way around the frame, filling every gap from every angle. And remember, don't be afraid to put things on top of each other. You'll see me go very detailed on this piece, but you can do this at your own comfort level. You don't have to go as detailed as me, but tweezers will definitely help. Whew, that was one side down, just 3 to go. Notice the way I'm working with the glue here. Sometimes a generous amount on which you can pour some shells, and sometimes I put glue on individual shells to fill small holes and gaps. It's a time-consuming process, but meditative, and this is where your eye for detail really will shine. If there's still larger cavities between the shells, I first fill them with the mid-sized shells before I go back over it with the tiny ones. I often start by spreading out a few of them randomly and then go over it one by one to fill the rest of the spots. I'll spare you most of it, but expect this phase to take at least a few hours. Before we move on to the finish, I have some shell details in mind that I'd like to put in place before the sand. Time to fill any gap between the fillers and the edge sand. To do this, I go around the frame with glue and then I apply the sand. First I go around the outside and then the inside. With the sanding done, let the frame dry for a few hours. We now shake the frame thoroughly until any loose shells or grains of sand has fallen off. And now, the final detailing. Take a close look around the frame and fill in any gaps revealed by the shells that fell off. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Ooh, we're getting close now. Let's put in the mirror. Place your frame front side down on something soft, like the rolled up towels you see me using here. Before you put the mirror into place, make sure there's no shells or sand sticking over the edge it will rest on. Use the included sealant to mount the mirror and let it dry for at least 20 minutes. With the mirror in place, we can put the backboard on. You see me centering it over the mirror and attaching it with the included screws. And for this, we're using a T10 screwdriver. Use a T20 bit to screw down the hangers and get your wire out. You first go through the front of the hanger. You then go over, around, and through both the hanger and then also the loop you just created. To finish off, we wrap the excess cord around itself. And then the moment we all been waiting for, the wow moment. This frame took me about 30 hours to complete while filming. If you'd like to make your own, both the kit and the glue is available at shellman.se. I can't wait to see what all of you create. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to see me make more of these. Thanks for watching!